Hey boy, you're in the car now going to New Jersey, and you left about not even an hour ago, but I already miss you so much. So I thought I would read some of the books we got today at the library because. And the first one is for Monday, which is Dr. Martin Luther King's birthday, and this book is Happy Birthday, Martin Luther King. Beautiful picture on the front. And now I'm going to read the book. The book is by, that's blocking the name of the first name. Might be Billie Jean Marzollo. Oh, beautiful drawings. Let me open it up. And no, just Jean Marzollo. I'm not sure what's in front of it. Probably just the word by. Illustrated by J. Brian Pinkney with a beautiful stained glass window. En français, c'est vitrine. Vitrine. Okay. Let's see. There's a little bit of a preview for the parents of how to read, parents and teachers, how to read about a very tragic thing when it's a little child. Martin Luther King Jr. was born on January 15th, 1929 in Atlanta, Georgia. His parents loved him very much. Martin Luther King had the same name as his father, except for one thing. His father was called Martin Luther King Sr. Martin was called Martin Luther King Jr. Martin went to elementary school, high school, and college in Atlanta, Georgia. He was a good student. Later, he went to divinity school in Pennsylvania. You see all those books? That's our kind of room, isn't it? That's our kind of activity. Poring over books, studying, finding specific details. Oh, I love that. Oh, I love this picture. I love this activity. I love libraries of all kinds. Children's libraries, general public libraries, academic libraries, math libraries. I even used to study at college in the library in the theological seminary in the middle of campus with stained glass windows and the beautiful musty smell of old books and arched windows. I love libraries. Martin became a pastor, just like his dad, at the Ebenezer Baptist Church in Atlanta. They were both called Reverend, the Reverend Martin Luther King Sr. and the Reverend Martin Luther King Jr. You see the flowers and the robes? Martin's job as a minister was to help people in need. He visited sick people in the hospital and made them feel better. Oh, that's a nice picture. Doesn't that look what it's like in hospitals? The person in bed, the bedside stand, flowers, the look on the face. But there's a lot to think about and sometimes worry about. The windowsill with flowers and cards. I have a picture of the windowsill in the room where your mom was when you were born. He asked people not to fight with each other. He said that there were peaceful ways to solve problems. And he is right. And like his father, Martin led people in prayer and song. these drawings are really quite unusual and quite excellent. It's unusual in that there's the darkness underneath, and then they do the white ink over it to sort of convey the fabric and the three-dimensional feel. It's beautiful. I love this book. It's also somber colors for kind of serious, somber, but a realistic topic. It's beautiful. I love this book. The Reverend Martin Luther King Jr. is famous because he helped our country change some of its laws. Not just its laws, but some of its thinking in individual people. That's a pretty powerful thing when individual people change what they think about something because of the words of another person. A law is like a rule. Once there was a law in some places that said only white people could sit in the front of a bus and that black people had to sit in the back. Martin Luther King said this law needed to be changed. Rosa Parks and other people, many other people, helped him change it. Now all people can sit in any empty seat they like. Your mama studied it deeply, and knows a lot of the people who were part of the whole big movement. Dr. King is one we hear about a lot, and Rosa Parks is one we hear about a lot, but there are very many, very many. And I went to class with your mom a few times when she was studying this, and I learned so much. So many people, so much courage, and just so many different kinds of people, too. Your mom will tell you about it one day. Once there were laws in some places that said that African Americans could only use certain restaurants and drinking fountains. Martin Luther King and many other people helped change these laws. Now all people can share the same restaurants and drinking fountains. Once there was a law in some places that said that black children and white children couldn't go to school together. Martin Luther King and other people, including many very brave children, had this law changed too. Now black and white children can go to school together. Can and do go to school together. Martin Luther King had a special talent for leadership. When he spoke, people listened. Poor people, rich people, white people, black people, people from all around the world listened when Martin Luther King spoke. Many helped him work, march, sing, and pray for justice. He was a remarkably good speaker, and one of the reasons I tell all my students to study language and to read a lot and study a lot is that you will have things to say in life, and if words are familiar and rich for you, you'll be able to say it in a way that people will hear it and get it and be moved by it and understand it better and understand you better. So it's a great thing to be good with words. And anybody can be. It's just a question of exposure and thinking and study and familiarity. And these days, it's not as seriously taught as it used to be, because sort of the more technology we have, the less people use the old-fashioned ways of getting information. But I'm a big believer in keeping words be really a big part of the richness of what we put in our minds and learn and think about and get familiar with. But it takes more time to read a book than to watch a movie or a TV show, or it takes more time to read than have it be someone else read and tell us what it's about. And assignments at school can be really long readings sometimes, and when enough people complain, they sometimes shorten it. But if you see that picture of him studying those big books, There's big ideas in big books, and lots of ideas, and lots of words. And if this is a happy place for you, words are going to be just part of the magic that you have at your fingertips to do with what you want. Sometimes people have a lot to say, but they don't have a facility with words because it just was never developed. And that's kind of sad for me because I've had students that have so many good things to say, but they have a hard time getting them across because people don't listen if it's crafted in a way that's hard to understand or not coming through the way they mean it or whatever. Back to the story. In the summer of 1963, Martin Luther King Jr. gave the most famous speech of his life. How many minutes? He gave it outdoors to 250,000 people who had come to Washington, D.C. to ask the president for jobs and freedom for black people. In his speech, Martin Luther King said that he had a dream. His dream was that people everywhere would learn to live together without being mean or cruel or unfair to one another. That's the reflecting pool. You'll go there for sure. Martin Luther King was shot and killed in 1968. Because he loved poor people so much and respected them so much, he was given a special funeral in Atlanta, Georgia, where he was born. His body was put in a simple farm cart and pulled slowly by 2 mules to a cemetery. Thousands of people walked behind Martin in a sad, loving parade. On his gravestone were carved these beautiful words that he spoke: "Free at last, free at last. Thank God Almighty, I am free at last." Oh, I didn't show you that picture. There's now a special memorial to him in Washington, D.C. Martin Luther King wanted people to be able to go places together, share food together, and love one another in peace. Because he worked so hard for freedom and helped so many people gain it, we honor him every year on his special day. We call this day Martin Luther King Day, and we say to him, "Happy birthday, Martin Luther King." And there's one other thing we say. Thank you. I love you, little guy. A lot of great people to learn about and learn even more about, think about, learn from. You have all that in front of you. I love you, sweetie pie.